client on the phone, they're buzzing, like, yeah, found the deal. I'm so happy. This is going to be the best deal ever. And then we run the numbers and the return on investment's like 3%. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Game of Loans podcast. And I'm delighted today that my guest is the awesome Caroline Tolman. Caroline, how are you doing today?
Woo! Thank you for the awesome. That's amazing. And very kind of you. I'm doing great. The sun is shining. The kids are back at school. And literally that is kind of the key thing. 3 weeks ago, although they're breaking up on Friday, so I've got 2 weeks back with them. Love them to bits, but yeah, it's a lot.
Term time is never long enough. It's never long enough.
Exactly.
It's funny, isn't it? How when you're a kid, it's like the terms are too long. As you get to an adult, the terms become too short.
Oh my god, too short. But you do realize, like, as a kid, you never knew, like, or you didn't recognize. You always loved your holidays, but you never knew that you needed your holidays. But now the kids are just ratty, and like little things are just tipping them over the edge. They are ready for their break, definitely.
Well, I'm glad that you're in a nice, quiet household, so that we can have a nice, chilled out conversation today. Exactly. No kids running around in the background. No. But Caroline, look, for anyone that's listening that hasn't come across you before, are you able just to give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So I have been investing in property for the past 4 years. Went full time in it 3 years ago. Myself and my husband were based just outside Huddersfield. It's home first, last of the summer wine country. If anyone's heard of that still, they still do the tours. So we got involved with it. We did some education, some training with a company and decided to just get involved. So we have been focusing on mainly HMO and buy-to-let as our strategy. And we kind of went very heavily into HMO initially for the first year, I would say, and then after that kind of pivoted and thought we want to balance it out. So yeah, very much 50-50 split on HMO and buy-to-let, and I also mentor newbies who are wanting to get involved in those strategies as well. And we kind of started off investing, as I said, in West and South Yorkshire, but we are kind of branching out now. So we've just agreed a deal up in Middlesbrough and another one in County Durham, so starting to look a bit further afield, which is exciting as well.
There's loads of things for me to pick apart in that, and I'm trying to think which one's going to be the best thing to start with. I'm going to do things kind of the opposite way around to how I usually do it. I'll talk about the mentoring, because I think that I've also, I speak to a lot of people that have gone through the education, this process, and there are some really great sort of courses and stuff out there, but we know that there are just as many, if not more, not so great. I often say to my clients, if you're going to pay money to be educated, you're better off trying to find a mentor, an individual who is genuinely doing what you want to do right now. Otherwise, you could be going on a course and spending a load of money learning stuff that was relevant 10 years ago, but isn't anymore. So is that, I'm guessing as that's something that you do, you're going to advocate, but I'm not wrong, am I?
No, exactly. I agree with that. So as I said, we did the whole education piece. We did the courses, we left those and we were absolutely buzzing. We were like, right, we're going to do this. There's so many options, which we were not aware of previously. And then we came back home. We went on holiday about a month after doing the training. So we had a bit of momentum, went on holiday for 2 weeks, and then just went back into normal life. And I was working, we had our routines, husband's working, and everything that we'd learned and all that fire and like just everything that we were going to do just fizzled out a little bit. And then I went to it was like a networking event one evening in Leeds, and there was a guy talking there, and he just mentioned the importance of having a mentor. And the key bit of advice for me, or the thing that stood out for me, was to find someone who's kind of 2 years ahead of where you want to be. So you know that they've done what it is that they're saying they've done, they've got the evidence of that, but also their goals and their strategies are like aligned with what you're wanting to do. And he just like really resonated with me. And I came home and I literally said to Mike, right, I'm just going to ping him a message and say, will he coach us? I want to know more information. So I did that. And that was probably the best thing that we did in terms of having that monthly accountability with somebody, and we still work with him now to this day. And although so we see him once a month for a couple of hours, we're always on text, and now, to be honest, we're more like friends. He's like one of our best mates really in the industry, and we'll just meet up with him and his wife just generally anyway, not to talk about property. So that's a really nice byproduct of it all. But yeah, we just started working with him, and now kind of the questions and what we're discussing has obviously changed and evolved, and where he has moved on as well. So he's doing bigger stuff. So I can't see us catching him at any point. That's not our kind of intention, but it's just worked out really well for us. And I would say that by far was, although we probably wouldn't have done what we've done without the education, I think that monthly accountability and support is so much more valuable to somebody, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know, it's that point you made about like things fizzling out? I remember I went and did a 3-day course. It was a long time ago. I was actually like invited. Luckily, I didn't have to pay. I was invited to go and kind of sit there, and if any finance stuff come up, just they could go, so Sam, and that's kind of how it worked. And I mean, I was kind of buzzing at the end of it. I mean, there was a lot of holes. I spotted a lot of holes, but maybe, because I have a bit of a better vantage point for these kind of things. Yeah. But even that, there were people that were, oh yeah, Sam, we part of a little WhatsApp group that we're going to have off the back of that. For people that are not through the organization, just the people who have been there. And it was funny, actually, recently somebody put a message on that WhatsApp group that's like 4 years old, just saying, hi everyone, is anyone actually still working in property? And I replied back and I said, well, yeah, I've set up my brokerage now, which is awesome. And we kind of had a little bit of a chat, but and actually underneath, loads of people just started leaving the WhatsApp group. And there was probably about 20 people in it. And when I sort of woke up and saw loads of people had left, I looked, there's like 5 people left in there, and only one had spoken. And this does happen. You go to these courses, you get all geared up, and they get you clapping and whooping and hollering, all that sort of stuff. But there's no follow-up. There's no accountability afterwards. And that's really what I think is probably the most important thing when it comes to starting a business. Because there's dark times, not everything's, flowers and chocolate. It's all it's the tough times that you need somebody to pull you up and go, come on, you can do this.
Yeah, well, that's it. They're in the business of selling, which is fine. So they obviously want to like paint the picture of it's all easy peasy, just go and put these offers in and boom, you're going to be
financially free in 12 months.
But I remember my mentor said to me, I can't remember if it was to me or at an event that he was doing, it's like when you go on these courses, it's like they give you a golden ticket and they're like, look, take this ticket because it's going to give you everything that you want in your life in terms of financial freedom and time and just being able to make your own choices and be your own boss. Take it. But then what you don't see is on the other side of that ticket is kind of being out of your comfort zone and all the like stress that you may have and just the constant questioning. So it's that there is that reverse, which people don't see when they go on the courses, which I think it's so important to kind of, make that clear to people that I think the information's correct, what they give you, but it's just everything. Well, it's harder than it seems. So like anything.
I mean, I do see the value in going on these courses. I think it creates a really nice kind of base level of knowledge. But I think it's important for people just to know that that's not the be all and end all. And if you don't follow exactly what they're going to say to the letter, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be not going to be successful. I mean, moving into one of the other things I picked up in your little intro there is that, I mean, and I tell my clients this, to be quite honest with you, which is don't run before you can walk. Do some buy selects first, then go into HMO. You decided to do it the opposite way around, which I completely understand why you've then gone into buy select, which we'll probably cover as well. But what was it that, or how hard did you find it going straight into? Was your first property an HMO?
So we had landlord experience because we'd kept our first home as a buy-to-let. So we knew that we could get the lending. So we'd had that. I mean, it's a company let. It was dead easy. I wouldn't have classed myself as a landlord at that stage. So we'd done that for about 7 years. Went on the course, HMO, woo, dollar signs in our eyes, financial freedom, we can reach it a lot quicker if we go down that route. So we actually, the first 2 deals that we agreed, one was a buy-to-let and one was a HMO, and we did them concurrently pretty much. The buy-to-let, we finished the refurb on quicker, as you would expect. And then the HMO was pretty soon after. So we did both of those 2 deals on bridges, which again was like, oh, something totally new, never heard of a bridge before, what the hell are we doing? So that was, kind of a little bit scary at the time. And then after that, I think our next 5 were HMOs. So we kind of just sacked off. We kind of wanted to do the single let, because although we had a buy-to-let, it wasn't like the same, that method that we'd been taught. We just kept that was accidental. So we thought, right, we want to just check that this whole buy below market value, add value, refurb, add the value, refinance, pull the money back out again. We just want to check that this works and we can do it. And so we did that. We refinanced that before the HMO. So that then gave us the confidence of, oh, yeah, it does work. And then we did the same with the HMO then.
Awesome. I love that without any prompting at all, you've already brought up bridging finance, which is my favorite topic in the whole universe. Because you're right, aren't you? People are scared by bridging, and I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on bridging, and you tell me if you agree. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. So I believe that the risky part of taking a bridge out is the person taking the bridge out.
Yeah,
that's genuinely what I think, because I've got clients who have hundreds of properties and they use bridging. Got no problem with it. They know, they understand the figures, and we get those deals done like you would not believe. In days, not even weeks, sometimes in days. Then I'll have newbies, and things are all over the place. Valuations come back badly. Lenders don't believe the GDV, all this kind of stuff. Or worse, I've had one recently where we went to refinance, and we had a massive down valuation. And as it transpires, client just did not do their due diligence well enough on the back end. And as much as they actually took out the bridge themselves. This person that's just should highlight, because when we do, we make sure they do their due diligence. But this is kind of my belief, and it's not necessarily a popular one. I get a lot of people online having to go at me saying, you telling me it's my fault? I'm like, yes, I am. Yeah. So it's and I guess maybe you felt a little bit more confident doing it because you had some people around you to guide you through it. But am I right there, or am I just being a bit too harsh?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. To be honest, I think the whole fear factor comes from not knowing something and understanding how something works. So you if you're going to be successful in this, you need that team of people who can advise you, and then you get comfortable when you understand a process and how things work. Like the whole bridging, I'd never heard of a bridging loan, didn't know how it worked, what the point of it was. When I was new to property, I just didn't know about it. So then speaking to people, understanding it, fine. And then I think as long as you've got your exit nailed on, clear, and you know what it is that you're doing, how long your refurb's going to take, so you're not stressing yourself out, and then what your exit is at the end, what your revalue is going to be, and just your figures, then more than comfortable with using it. It's just for us, it's looking at deals in their standalone and just seeing what works for us at the time, whether we use a bridge or whether we use an investor. That's how we look at them.
I say exactly the same to my clients. I mean, a lot of brokers see investors as the enemy. We're up against investors. No, just use it in tandem. I think that the best investors out there are the ones that have the greatest amount of understanding and knowledge of the greatest amount of finance options. And if you've got that, you're gonna get far. But I'm glad that you mentioned exit as well, because this is key for me. I always think of things as trying to. You've got to start with the end in mind. You've got to look at how you're going to get out. Because for me, and I mean, touch wood, I've been doing this for 14 years now. I've never had one client I've got into a bridge that we haven't been able to get them out in on time, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
But that all comes with understanding how you're going to get out of that bridge. There's no point taking out a bridging loan. Anyone can take out a bridging loan. Bridging lenders are notoriously awful at doing due diligence on your exit. And that's again why I say to a lot of clients, don't necessarily just go direct to a bridging lender, because they're not going to maybe care too much about your exit as much as you should do. And you know, you might have to pay a broker a fee, but at least they're going to get you out of that deal if they're worth their salt. So the exit is so important. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that as well. Because do you know what? And it's amazing. I think of when we're looking at analysing deals, I've got 4 figures that I need to be looking at: purchase price, cost of works, end value. A lot of people use done up value. I really don't like that. Gross development value. People. Gross development value. That's what it's called. And then if you're keeping it, rental income. Once you've got those 4, you can pretty much make assumptions on everything else, and you can analyze a deal really quickly and understand your return on investment. And do you know what, Caroline? It's so funny. The amount of times that I've got a client on the phone, they're buzzing, like, yeah, found the deal. I'm so happy. This is going to be the best deal ever. And then we run the numbers, and the return on investment's like 3%.
Oh no! Oh God, what have they missed? What do they not look at?
I think they see the difference in the purchase price and what it's going to potentially value up at, and they see it as being pretty big, and as a result, they just assume that it all works. But if you're not getting a decent yield, or cash flow is poor, then it's not going to work. And sometimes you might buy a property at 90 grand and think, oh wow, I can turn that into a 130 grand property. Well, actually, when you factor in all the fees and potentially the cost of the works, if there's a decent size of renovation on there, you know, actually that's not a massive gap.
It can kill them. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think, well, it just depends as well on what your criteria is. Like now our criteria has kind of changed over the past few years that we've been doing it, where we're not as kind of strict on, well, it has to be money in, money out, because we've built the cash flow to kind of top up any money that we're leaving in. But yeah, I think you need to just be clear on what it is that you're wanting from a buy-to-let or from a HMO. What's your ROI? How much you're happy to leave in, and kind of just know your numbers like the back of your hand, really.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're analysing a deal, do you think of things from an ROI perspective, or is there like a minimum you're willing to leave in a deal? What is it that sort of ticks a box for you when it comes to
ROI is kind of the key one for us. So we're around 30%, but then on a buy-to-let, depending on area as well, because we're looking at kind of, in some areas we're kind of thinking, well, we'd have better capital growth there, so we're happier to leave a bit more in. So max is kind of 10k that we'd want to leave in, but at the minute we've been a little bit more flexible with that, just in the areas that we're buying in. With the way that the market is, it's just going phew, and that's the way that we kind of feel like it's going to keep on going for the next couple of years. So we don't want to be in a position where we look back in 2-3 years time and think, oh my God, we should have bought that house for like 80 grand back then. Why did we not buy it? Because we were going to leave 3 more grand in it. We just want to keep on going.
Do you know what, that's all this whole like perfect deal problem, you know, that people have, is that they're constantly looking for the perfect deal. And I've the terminology, I got this from my father-in-law. He says that he uses the phrase, it's like trying to find rocking horse shit, which I think is a really awesome phrase. But it is a little bit, but also I think it's quite like relevant to the individual. You know, for you've just got sort of said, right, realistically, we don't want to leave more than 10 grand in, and 30% ROI is what we're after. There might be someone else out there that's happy to leave in 20 grand and have a 15% return on investment. It's all relative to the individual. Exactly. But the problem is, and when we come back round to it, unfortunately, again, it's this whole, you know, the education pushes this whole money in, money out, you know, 35-40% return on investment is possible. You've got to hold out for those deals. And funny enough, I had another guest on not so long ago, Radhika Shah, and she said that when she went on one of these education programs, and they told her that she wasn't allowed to accept an offer until she'd done 100 viewings. But the first viewing she went to, she was like, "This kind of stacks up," and she and it worked. And they told her that it wasn't good enough because it wasn't money in, money out.
Oh my God! Really?
And she was like, "Yeah, but I'm happy leaving some money in." So she went ahead with it in the end, and it turned out to be a really, really good deal. And it's nuts, isn't it? Like money in, money out. Just like I said, that there you go. There's your rocking horse shit deal.
Exactly.
They don't come around often.
No, and in this market, they are nigh on impossible to find. But I look back at like some of the first few properties that I viewed when I was so green and just kind of was doing the whole like, right, well, 75% LTV, less my refurb, less this, and Okay, so I need to be offering X for this to be money in, money out. And I'd go in and I'd have like vendors in front of me ready to sell. And I was putting forward just crazy offers that were never going to be accepted. And now I think, oh my God, if only I'd known a little bit more or had someone to kind of advise.
There might have been 5, 6, 7, 8 more properties in the portfolio.
Exactly. I'm like, what was I even doing? But then I feel like you also need to, it's like anything, you need to go through that learning process, don't you, to have a better understanding going forward. But
absolutely. And this is it. I always say to my clients as well, the first 1, 2, 3, 4 deals are going to be like really hard, because there's going to be so much stuff chucked at you, jargon, you know, there's going to be things that you didn't even realize that you needed to know about that are suddenly going to, you know, you're going to have to think about, and probably quite quickly. And that only comes with experience. And this is why I kind of say to people, you know, don't fall for the next excuse for not to actually get in. If you want to be a property investor, start being a property investor. If you don't have a deposit, don't not go on viewings. Go on viewings, find those deals. And if it's a really good deal, you'll either find somebody that will buy it and you can maybe charge them a fee for doing so, or you will find the money. You know, you'll find an investor, you'll figure it out, and you're building these relationships at the same time. And it's just, you know, I've been doing this for quite some time now. So I've seen all the excuses. Firstly, it was, it's credit crunch. Then it was Brexit. Now it's COVID. I don't know what the next one's going to be.
There's always going to be, like you say, there is always going to be something, isn't there? But it's just the only way to learn. You can't do it in a classroom. You've just got to get stuck in and do the practical, and things will go wrong. But it's a very forgiving industry, I think, and a forgiving business, I would say, because as long as you're in it for the long term, which if you're not, like, you don't buy into the whole 1 week you're going to be out of your job, financially free, blah, 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 it's not going to happen. You're in it for the long haul. You're holding, or, well, that's our model anyway. We're not flipping. We're holding everything, kind of thinking that in 20 years, 30 years time, we will come out winning. So that's kind of this. And also, I think when we first started, we were kind of looking at deals, analysing them on an individual basis, which we still do. But then now we're kind of more flexible, where we're going, okay, well, that one we left like $3,000 in, this one we're leaving about 13. Like, so it's looking at the average across it all, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely, exactly. But you mentioned there about, you know, you're going to be able to, you know, go full time in a week. Obviously, relatively speaking, you said at the beginning there, you kind of about a year into building this property business, you went full time into it. Was that both yourself and your husband do that, or was it just one of you?
Always really like transparent with this. So everyone that I work with, my husband still works. He loves his job. He enjoys it. He gets paid well for it. But like anything, you'll know, if you are running a cash flow strategy, you need that capital strategy at the same time. So instead of us doing 1-2 flips a year, it's him working and him putting his bonus into the business, basically. And that's how we top up what we're leaving in. So you are going to need, whatever that capital strategy looks like, you're going to need to have it.
Exactly. And this is what I say to my clients as well, because I like to use myself as an example of this. You know, if I wanted to, I probably could have just stayed as being an employed broker working for somebody else all my life. And I get the buzz from helping people, like I genuinely do. It's not, probably the reason it's not worked out for me in a lot of companies is because they can see straight through me and see it's not all about the money. And funnily enough, finance industry, kind of about the money. So I don't work very well in a sales oriented environment. And so, but for me, you know, it's a case of, right, I need to get Grand Union Finance to a particular point where it's making and generating cash. And then it's straight off the pages of Rich Dad Poor Dad. You know, you build a business, or you have a source of funds coming in on a regular basis. Yours is obviously your husband's job. That money gets put into creating a asset base that generates income, and then you buy stuff with that income that's replenishing itself on a monthly basis. You know, and it's actually, I always remember the first time I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it was funny actually, because my wife for the first time the other day brought it up. She goes, you know, she saw it about somebody talking about it, and she asked me about the book. That for me was like game changer, that whole, when I read, I think whatever that section was for the first time, I was like,
where it
hang on,
the graph and the quadrants and everything. Yeah.
I was like, I mean, I read it when I was 30 years old. So my instant thought was, well, you've been wasting your life for 30 years, Sam. But then you start to think, this is so friggin' obvious.
Yeah.
You know, George's awesome. He's so one of my favorite clients. He's all my clients are my favorites, just FYI. But this one is particularly one of my favorites. He runs a really, really cool hospitality business, and he has been for probably 10 years or so. And we started working together about 3 or 4 years ago. He at the time was obviously paying himself like a salary and dividend, standard stuff, and then he was buying, he just likes to buy like turnkey investments. He hates the idea of doing any renovations. He just goes and buys flats and stuff, and that's absolutely cool. And we had a conversation, I think it was like in end of 2018. He's like, Sal, I've got this really good idea. I was like, what? He says, I'm going to start paying myself from my property business, and I'm just going to invest all the money from my business into buying more properties, and so then I can buy more properties, and every time I buy a property, I'll give myself a pay rise. And I literally, off the back of that, I sent him a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad in the post.
Did you?
And I was like, just read. I'm not gonna. And my note was, just read this, and you'll realize why what you said to me the other day is so awesome. And he called me like a couple of weeks later. Oh, he called me to say thanks for the book, and then we were having a discussion about other stuff. And then he called me back once he'd finished reading it. He's like, "Oh my god, I figured this out for myself." I was like, yeah, I know. That's why it's so cool. And I mean, now, I mean, he's firing. You know, that was his like tipping point moment where he's suddenly like, oh my God, I can do this. And if I actually, I mean, yeah, of course, like it took a lot of time for him to build up that business, but he's passionate about that business, which is awesome. And just like you said, your husband likes his job. Yeah. So it's cool. You know, for some people that might be listening to this, maybe they've got a shit job that they hate. And you know what? That is, for somebody that is like that, I would say just find a different job. Know that ultimately you want to go into property. Yeah. So find a job that is minimal hours, same income. You can just get on with it. You're not going to be in it forever. Use it as just a pulling money out, or start a business, you know? Exactly.
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah, Mike is very fortunate, my husband, that he does enjoy what he does, what his job is. But yeah, like you say, for people that don't enjoy it, it's finding another method. There's always another way. It's finding something else that's going to free up your time to get you to be able to reach that end goal quicker. But also I think it's that balance of like time and remembering what it is that you're doing all of this for. Because I think I was on Clubhouse the other day and somebody came up and she was like, I need to start investing. I'm working full time. I need to drive to my investment area kind of every weekend, and I'm just hammering the motorway. She was down south somewhere and she was coming up north, and it's kind of like, whoa, okay, I get all of that. But for me as well, it's kind of using your time wisely and where your time is like best spent, isn't it? And whether that means, okay, you're going to look for a sourcing agent in an area or anything that can I kind of go for the easier options when it comes to life in general. I like getting stuck in with the hard work if I'm seeing a reward from it. But if there's like an easier way or a more straightforward way of doing something, then I will always opt for that as well. Because I just think you don't want to like burn yourself out quickly as well when you're kind of at the start of this process. I almost said journey, but I didn't.
Journey, yeah. Another. I've chucked in financial freedom. We've got done that one. I've got journey. I've got all of them. You'll be talking to me about pivoting soon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tip of my tongue, that one.
But you know what? It's I agree with you. I've always been kind of a path of least resistance kind of guy. Yeah. But I don't see the point in working hard for working hard's sake. Like you've got to do it. I mean, when I was a kid, I was big into my rugby. Well, I still am big into my rugby, just too old to play. And the way I used to see it was, if I work hard throughout the week, then I should play better at the weekend. But I was also very efficient with what I did. Like I didn't go to the gym and do like, oh, I'm going to work for 3 hours in here, because then I can say that I've done 3 hours worth of work. No. You do exactly, and I'm still the same now. If I go to the gym now, I hate going to the gym with anyone else. This whole idea of walking around having a chat. Oh God, no.
Get it done.
Go in, get what you need to done, get back out again. And I'm the same from a work perspective. Honestly, like the people that work with me work for me, I should say. They are so sick and tired of hearing me say efficiency. You know, efficiency and customer service are the only two things I ever talk about. And I'm just like, I always want to get from A to B as quickly and easy as possible. And do you know, I'm so happy that you said that, because I think we've got this real culture at the moment, which is like, oh yeah, hustle and grind and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Well, what's the point if there's no end product?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you've got to do it the right way, right?
Totally agree. I think you've got to be have the right mindset and be the right kind of person. Like, I did a load of sport when I was younger as well. And so that was kind of, it was all work smart, not hard, put the effort in. So if you're doing something, I always try my hardest, but it's kind of how much do I need to do and what are the rewards that I'm getting from doing it. But I've always worked kind of, when I was employed, I was working from home. So I was a rep, so I was on the road by myself, or I was at home by myself. So it was I had to motivate myself to get stuff done, which again, I think when you get into property and if you're doing it full time, it can be not lonely, because I never feel like, oh God, I'm by myself, but because I've made enough like connections. But you know what I mean? You've got to kind of have that motivation to do it, because it is for yourself. And for me, that's kind of comes way more easily than having to go and sell the products that I was selling for other people, because I didn't really care that much. But when it's something for yourself, you get that, or I do have that extra motivation. But I'm always looking, like you said, for the way to be the most efficient. So I couldn't think of anything worse than being in an office 9 till 5 and doing like a tea run, and then let's go and have a chat and let's do this. I'm like, no, what have we got done? Let's just crack on with doing what we need to do, and then we can go and do some other stuff. Like, that's what I'm like.
Have you ever read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss?
No, I haven't. My husband has listened to the audio book, but I have not. I definitely should do, though. I've heard of it a lot.
There's a bit in there, what you just said is really interesting, about how, like, when you're in the office, you do the tea run, you have a chat with people, water cooler, you know, catch up about the weekend. There's a bit in there he says, isn't it strange how every single job in the world can be done between the hours of 9 and 5? like if you got rid of all the shit through the middle of the day and you just compressed it into just work, it would be interesting to see how much work you actually do during that 9 to 5 kind of period, or probably.
I just think it's so outdated, the way that people work in offices now. I think obviously there was a big massive lack of trust, but also infrastructure as well. Like, you couldn't work from home, you didn't have internet, and no one had laptops and blah blah blah. But now we all do, and maybe Corona will have sped up just the flexibility in the way that people will work going forward. But I have always thrived on flexibility and every day being different. That's what I love.
I suppose that's what property affords you, isn't it? Like, there is. This is, I guess, I get a sort of a sense of that in what I do, because I'm so fortunate that all my clients are investors, so I get to kind of share in their journey. Oh, sorry, I dropped it. So it is cool that, I mean, every call that I have with a client, there are obviously similarities in the stuff that we're discussing, but everyone's got a slightly different story, a slightly different reason for doing what they're doing, slightly different strategy. It is interesting, and you do get, you know, this is the ultimate way of getting away from the 9 to 5, you know, I was going to say hustle and grind there, but it's not even hustle and grind, it's just paper pushing and making tea, like you said. You reminded me, this is completely off topic, but I was telling somebody this story yesterday. I'm so talking about making tea in an office. A job that I had towards the beginning of my career, I ran a team for quite a big brokerage firm, and so I had this quite big table with all of my team on it. And I was so bad at making tea that we used to have to do the rounds, and they used to skip me out every time. Like, Sam, you're so bad at making tea, you're not doing it. And one day somebody said, hang on a second, why shouldn't Sam be made tea?
He's not going to learn.
Just because he's crap at making it doesn't mean he should skip it out. That's not fair. So do you know what they did? They created an Excel spreadsheet. Right.
Oh my God.
And it was right. So if it was coffee, it was number of like exactly the amount of spoonful and how big the spoonful needed to be for the coffee. How many sugars, whether it was brown sugar, white sugar, sweetener, and then even teaspoons of milk. So
what? Teaspoons of milk?
Yeah. So it was exactly how they wanted it to be. And I had to, that's what I did. So I remember walking into it's really small kitchen, like kitchenette kind of thing, with this like printout of this thing. And I remember, because we shared a building, and the kitchenette was like a shared bit of its facility. And someone come in there like, what's that? It's the tea schedule. And they're looking at it and they think, is this guy stupid?
Yeah, I'm actually really good at my job, but not so
good. I'm wicked at getting mortgage applications through, but tea, just slightly beyond me, unfortunately.
I never drank tea or coffee until I got into my job. And then everyone that I would go and see, do you want tea or a coffee? Do you want tea or a coffee? Don't like either. And they'd like look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
So I forced myself to like tea. So to this day,
it's the new smoking kind of thing, isn't it? Back in the day in the 80s when everyone went out for their fag break, now it's all, quick tea break. Yeah. Tea break and a biscuit. Yeah, absolutely. My dad's a builder. So that's probably why I'm so bad at making tea, because one of my jobs on site when I used to work with my dad as a kid, I say a kid like it was on slave labour. I wasn't like a two-year-old.
How old are you?
I was probably about 15, to be fair. But like my first job was making tea for everyone, and it's funny how I got elevated into other positions very quickly because the tea was so bad. Which actually, for those listening, is one of Richard Branson's best pieces of advice. Is that he said make crap tea. He said because you will get promoted very quickly. Because people you start off, I mean, this is old school, it's like 80s, first job is a tea boy or tea girl, and if you make a crap cup of tea, you're instantly gonna go be given a different job to do. So there we go. So that is the basis of my entire career, ladies and gentlemen. I made shit tea, now I've got my own company.
The key to success.
Make crap tea. But we're going for that was my fault, massively my fault. I wanted to come back to this kind of going full-time thing, because there was a particular reason that I was going to ask you about that, and obviously we started talking about your husband still being in full-time employment. Is I find a lot of people they think that they can go full-time a lot quicker than they actually can. Actually, there's a lot of benefits to staying in your job. And I guess you kind of touched on it a little bit as well by saying, you can utilize sources and all that kind of stuff. What was it that, I mean, obviously, as I said, you had the benefit of your husband wanting to stay in the job, the cash flow was still going to be coming through. Yeah. For you, though, what was that tipping point for yourself where you're like, actually, do you know what? I think I need to step away from my job and do this full time.
So I'm trying to think of like dates and timing, when we went on our first training course, I think it was 2017, and our son was going to be starting school in 2018. And it was literally like the September 17 to September 18, he was starting school. So we kind of thought, as a lot of parents will think, how are we going to juggle this if I'm doing my job traveling all over the country and Mike's got to be in the office because he is office based 5 days a week. I was part-time, so I was 3 days. Had my little girl as well, who was 2. So she was in nursery. And I had also, after I'd had Harry, I'd gone back to work full-time. He'd gone into nursery full-time. And that for me, I was just personally, and everybody's different. Personally for me, that was like a means to an end. It was like, right, he's going in for a year. Touch wood, we're going to have another baby. And then I'll be on maternity leave again. And that year was so hard because I just didn't spend anywhere near as much time with him as I wanted to. So that was kind of the goal for us, was that when he was starting school, it was like, right, we've got a year to kind of hammer this, do my job. And I'll laugh my head off if my old boss ever listened to this, but do the minimum required to kind of keep my job and keep being paid, but do as much as I could just viewing properties. And so like I was filling out my diary, my weekly planner of where I was supposed to be, and I was working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I was going, right, I'm going to be in Birmingham selling brackets, or I'm going to be up here selling whatever, when in all honesty I was kind of in Yorkshire viewing houses, or I was doing kind of what I needed to do. So that was kind of the time pressure that we put on ourselves, was that he was starting school. We wanted for me to be able to be there to do the school run basically, and not have him in after school clubs and XYZ. So for us, that kind of figure, we were fortunate that my husband's salary, that would cover everything. And then we kind of thought, right, if I leave my job, then I could, or I should be able to grow our business at a quicker pace than I was doing, because I would then have 3 days a week to focus on them, because my son had started school. I still had our little girl Thursday, Friday, She was in nursery Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So kind of like, right, I've got 3 days then where I'm not working, not blagging that I'm working, and I can 100% focus my time on building this portfolio. And then from there, 2 years later, our daughter started school. So that was last September, just gone. She just started, obviously we had Corona in and amongst all of it as well. So now I've got 5 days, which I'm like, oh my God, I've got so much time to get stuff done. I can be so productive. So it's kind of, we set those little goals for ourselves in relation to the kids. And now we're looking at bringing on a VA as well. Amazing. So I think it's all like that. It's looking at, you don't want to look at what you're losing in terms of salary, or we're losing that salary. It's looking at what you're going to be able to gain, as long as you can obviously still live and support yourself from what you've got. It was, although we were reducing our incomings, we were kind of like, right, but from that we should be able to build this pot quicker and go at a faster pace, which we've done. And that's what we're looking at with the VA as well. It's a case of, well, we bring somebody in, we don't just want to look at the cost of that. It's actually the efficiency that he's going to bring and the benefits. Yeah, exactly. And our cash flow should increase on the back of it, again, because my time's going to be spent on the tasks that I need to be doing.
Yeah, so. Do you know what? I completely get that in my business. The and this, I guess, is a story of pivoting, if you like. Is my first employee that I brought in my business was there to kind of be the operations manager, to sort of just make sure everything runs efficiently. And she's recently come to me and told me she's got aspirations that she wants to actually be a broker now that she's seen what I do. And so I had to make a decision. What am I going to do? You know, am I going to potentially lose a really awesome member of staff because I don't give her the opportunity to move, or you know, do I give her what she wants? So we've decided that she is going to do that. But instantly, that then it's I'm saying, crap, that's potentially going to leave a hole in the kind of sales support type area, and so. But we're probably going to do double the amount of deals because we've got another broker. So. From my perspective, instantly, exactly the same as you, I'm like, right, okay, so I need to get another sales support in at some point. And then I was literally doing research. I was looking at Reed last night to see like how much the genuine wages are for these types of roles. I was like, oh my God, got to factor it. But actually, by bringing that person on, they will act as a conduit to allowing the point of income to come sooner and much easier. So you've got to look at a bit outside the box. And I think you're right with things like that. You obviously got to a point with your business that you can start employing people. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are still sort of one-man band or one-woman band, property companies. But you get to a point where you can't scale any further after that.
Yeah, that's it. It's just economies of scale, like you said, isn't it? So it's just knowing and kind of planning that even when you're buying your first property, you're setting up, it's a business that you're setting up, which fortunately for me, my husband is fantastic at that kind of thing. Like he's very business minded and I've got him to kind of guide me and learn from. But yeah, it is just keeping that in mind, that is what you're doing. It's a business. And every time you add, it's making sure that you've just got all your processes in place to kind of keep it as smooth and as easy as possible. But yeah, now we've kind of got to that stage where just all the admin stuff is like constantly coming through that I'm kind of going, I can't leave the door because I'm just filling out mortgage applications or whatever. So I'm going, I need to go and view some houses and someone else can do this. So yeah, it's a nice problem to have, to be fair.
Absolutely. No, I love that. And it's just, we share a common mentality, I think, and also seem to be in a very similar situation. Okay, last question is what's going to be happening for you guys over the next 12 months? What are your plans? What are you hoping to try and achieve?
So our goals for this year, and I should know them quite well because I write them down daily. I've got into this habit of daily goals. They're kind of big. With my husband and me kind of love the whole Grant Cardone 10x. Just go big on your goals. If you're going to write goals, just go for them.
Why not?
So we've got a buy-to-let a month and 7 HMOs. So yeah, if anyone's got a money tree out there or a nice investor plot, that would be great. But no, all jokes aside, that's kind of what we're aiming for. If we get anywhere near that, we will be absolutely buzzing. We've got, I think we have ticked off, currently in the pipeline, we've got 4 going through. Remortgages are going through at the minute, and we've got a HMO that's just going through. So we need to pick up the pace on the HMO side of things as well.
Wow.
But yeah, that's kind of where we're at in terms of goals for this year. And then also for myself personally, because it's funny, like when we first went on the training courses, I remember looking at investors and kind of thinking like, they've got all these houses, why are they not like dripping in diamonds and driving Lambos, and like, what's going on? I don't get it. Like, obviously didn't understand it. So now when you're in it, you're like, everything just stays in. You don't want to take anything out. So again, we're still, everything is kind of through my husband's work, but that's where also I set up the coaching side to things as well. So I really enjoy that, and getting people started and kind of giving people that nudge to get over those barriers. So I work with a few clients now, but I'm just wanting to kind of take on a couple more as well over the next few months. That's kind of a personal goal as well for me.
Awesome. I love that. No, it sounds like it's going to be a hell of a busy year for you guys. So good luck. We'll have to do a catch up in a year's time, see if you've actually achieved what you want to achieve. But Caroline, thank you so much for spending the time. You know, by the sounds of it, you're an incredibly busy woman. So I'm very happy that you've given us a bit of time to share your insight and some words of wisdom today. But for anyone that's been listening to this that wants to catch up with you, maybe even contact you about taking you on as a mentor, I think by the sounds of things, you'd be an absolutely insane mentor. How's the best way of them getting in contact with you or following you online?
So Instagram is the easiest way to reach out to me. Very easy to find. So it's just at Caroline Tolman Property. That is my Instagram handle. I'm thinking, yeah, that is it, at Caroline Tolman Property. So yeah, just reach out to me on there, drop me a message, and I will come back to anybody via that. And then also we've started a little room on Clubhouse as well, which we've just changed the days. We were doing that on a Friday night. We've started again, because I think Friday, end of the week, and once everyone can get out and actually do stuff again, don't think anyone's going to be listening to us. So we've switched to a Monday evening, 7 till 8 o'clock. So we there's a great panel of us on there. So for anyone that's got any questions starting out, that's another good way to get involved too.
Amazing. Awesome. So I warned you about this at the beginning. It's been coming, and you promised me that you had a good idea. So I'm looking forward to this answer. Caroline, I told you I ask all my guests what their favorite chocolate is. It's your turn. What's your favorite chocolate?
I'm like, I shouldn't have bigged this up so much, but my favorite, which came from just lockdown, never tried it before, Tony's Chocolonely.
Yeah. So I've never had it.
Oh my God.
But I see it all the time, and I'm like, it looks kind of like almost like what Willy Wonka-y kind of.
Yes, Tony's Chocolonely, sea salt and caramel. Oh my God. You said you tasted that sea salt Twix malarkey. No, what is it? Salted caramel Twix.
Yeah.
No, this has got nothing on that. I'm just saying, like the sea salt in this Tony's Chocolonely bar is unbelievable.
They're big. They're big bars, aren't they?
They're big bars. Not the cheapest, but you can't eat a whole one.
You get what you pay for, though, right?
You get what you pay for. You cannot eat a whole one in one sitting because they are so sweet. I would dare you to try and eat a whole one.
As you said that, the vision of them popped into my head, where I've seen them on a shelf somewhere, and I'm literally racking my brain now thinking, where did I see them? So I saw them like Waitrose. It sounds like a Waitrosey kind of thing.
There isn't a Waitrose near me.
Okay. It's good. It's because I'm from posh Solihull. I'm living in posh Solihull. That's why, But no, I don't think we've got an M&S though, so we're not that posh. All right, I'm going to check that out. I haven't. It's very rare.
So glad
that somebody says a chocolate that I haven't tried. You are one of the first, so I'm going to go. I've got to try it out. I've got to test it out. Amazing. Okay, well, I've got my homework. Caroline, thank you so much again for coming and doing this.
Thanks for having me.
I've loved it. It's been a wicked conversation, and hopefully everyone at home has enjoyed it too. If you have, take a quick screenshot. That's not the right screenshot of yourself listening to this. Post it to your Instagram stories and tag both myself and Caroline in it, and we'll definitely share it about so as many people listen to this as possible. Caroline, thank you so much for your time again. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much.